Hold on.
No, we're going to ruin your engagement in 5, 4.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to tonight's late night happy hour. Brian Kamenetzky, Andy Kamenetzky, joined in the center of our screen tonight by Silver Screen and Rolls, Harrison Faigen. How are you? Good to see you. You can't see my arms extended in like a hugging motion, like I would love to hug you, but I can't.
We're all kind of boxed in here. Like I can kind of get my arms out that way, but it's kind of a good metaphor for where we're at as a society. We all have like less space than we need to properly express ourselves.
Virtual elbow bump for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm doing about as well as I think anyone really can be right now. Like still working, still not sick. So I think that's like the 2 boxes you can really tick at this point.
Yeah, don't be crazy.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've been doing great. I've found this whole thing phenomenal. I don't know what people don't love about being stuck in the same home roughly 22 hours a day, preferably with a child. I don't get it. I mean, maybe you all approach this differently than me, but I've been having the time of my life the last 3.5 months.
Well, look, I'm a blogger. I've been training for this my whole life.
So I'm just happy I'm not living in my mom's basement. When did that finally die? When did the notion of all people who, first of all, nobody talks about blogs anymore, but bloggers as people who live in their mom's basement?
I think it was when I moved out of my mom's basement. As soon as I got engaged and I got my own place, I think that was when the stereotype died. I think I was a trendsetter in that area, and I really just broke the stereotype there.
You know what's funny is I actually, not at the point where Brian and I were blogging for the LA Times, but I did at one point live in my mother's and I guess my father's as well basement. I mean, there was a period where I was literally my room was in their basement.
You were neither a blogger nor you were still in college at that
time.
No, well, yeah,
the
basement.
That's true. I mean, I guess they marked my departure to Los Angeles by immediately converting my room into something different and moving me into the basement.
Yeah, my parents did that to one of my brothers. They have not done it to me yet, but they did turn one of my brothers, who's actually younger than me, but he graduated college before I did, and he moved out, and they turned his room immediately
younger into and smarter, apparently.
Younger and went to Berkeley and graduated before me. So I am really the pride of the family.
And they turned his room into the basement?
Well, yeah, they were right, because they knew he wasn't coming back. They weren't sure about Harrison.
They're leaving they're keeping the bed warm for me. They're just they still do the sheets every week. They're ready for this to end at any time.
Have they converted into a queen? Because you might need at least a slightly larger bed since you're engaged.
Yes, yeah. So I have an adult bed in there. I got rid of the race car one. So that's I'm set to go in that case. I'm really the pride of
so actually, we do like to talk a lot about how people are spending their pandemic, and because we'll get into the Lakers, we got a lot of fun stuff planned. Because as everyone knows, Harrison is equated mostly with this guy, the giraffe. I was hoping, technically speaking, my goal for the beginning of the show was to arrange the screens like this. So you would be introduced as a giraffe, and it just didn't quite come together in the way that I wanted.
Oh, this is great. Yeah.
There's us with Harrison. There's Harrison.
Grab this. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that would be good if you wanted to screen grab that out.
You had it greeting me when I logged in for this.
But that was an accident. I didn't expect you to be that early. It kind of gave away the surprise. I want to see
3 photos of giraffes and.
You know what? All kidding aside, man, giraffes are awesome animals. I love giraffes. They're one of my favorite animals. They're fantastic.
No, I started, once it kind of became a thing, I started reading up on, my people. And, I've learned, a lot of great giraffe facts.
How did that 23andMe work out?
They have one of the most powerful hearts in the animal kingdom, so that's a great thing. It's got to pump all the way up that neck.
Stop for a second here, because later in the show, the game is giraffe trivia. And we don't want the beginning of the show to influence the gambling that usually goes along with these games. But I am putting my early money on it.
I know. I was going to say, I know. I'm putting in bets on Harrison right now.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I've been prepared for this. It's like giraffe facts and the pandemic. I've been prepping my whole life for, so I'm ready.
All right, so that'll be later, and I am looking forward to Andy getting slaughtered in this competition. But you mentioned, because we'll get to we'll get to the Lakers who arrived in Orlando today. We'll get to JaVale McGee's manscaping commercial, which is genuinely epic and one of the great things that I've seen on the internet over the last I don't know, 3 months. So, but you are an engaged person, Harrison. That was some of the happy news that came. That came before the pandemic, correct? Like before lockdown orders.
Yeah, no, we were in the middle. One of the last things that we did with like a large group of people, and it was like a month or two before the pandemic actually like really hit. But it was like definitely the last party I think that we were a part of was our engagement party that we had 1 year after getting engaged, and like getting everybody together for like, I think it would have been about 7 months before what would have been the big wedding gathering. And kind of getting prepared for that. But, obviously the wedding's going to be a little different now. But yeah, like just trying to, I'm not going to say that planning a second new wedding in the middle of a pandemic is like a dream come true or easy, but we're trying to make it work.
And now, I can't, Andy, do you think it would be better to be in that engaged, because you guys still love each other. It's adorable the way you are around each other and all that. But at the same time, like, that's very intense. That's like to be in, like, my wife and I, we've been married since 2007, I think, April 2007.
I'm really hoping she doesn't watch this.
No, whatever. Time is a flat circle. But she looked at me the other day and was just like, we are not meant to spend this much time together. Like we know that about each other at this point in our lives. You guys don't know that yet. So like all of these things, like you might have actually hit your quota for like until like 2022 in terms of FaceTime that you guys are having together, but it seems to be going well. So I'm very happy to hear that.
No, yeah, we're doing all right. It's like any couple.
Ooh, just all right.
When you're trapped in a 1-bedroom apartment that on the 3rd floor that is really, really hot in Hawthorne, and like just trying to, you're in there, like you said, 22 hours a day. But we're making it work. We're making it work.
Hot and Hawthorne sounds like a subcategory for like local adult entertainment.
Hey, we've all had to take on second jobs to get like trying times. And,
well, did you guys see that story about, I forget which MMA broadcaster it is, who is doing play-by-play of Pornhub clips for the blind?
That is an interesting, that's an interesting like MMA cares, like charity project right there. Yeah, I saw somebody was trying to get Joe Buck to narrate their own tape.
Yes,
like, I saw that one, and that's hilarious. And like, I'm actually disappointed he didn't do it because
he was a really good sport about turning it down. He was very funny about it.
Yes, but yeah, I did not see the MMA one.
If you are that guy, though, do you play it straight, so to speak? Do you try to make it sound sexy? Like, how do you handle that?
See, I would take that as like a comedy challenge, so I would play it as straight as possible because I think that would be funniest if you really try to do your best like Mike Breen, like while you're narrating it or something, just totally deadpan. But yeah, as far as like functionally what people would want,
it would actually be kind of fun to overdub just normal Kevin Harlan calls over.
I was just going to say, I mean, he'd never do it because my God, he's above something like that. But I mean, like maybe if we could arrange something where Kevin Harlan does this for charity and like a really important charity, like it's got to be a good one. Like if it's just like your B+ level charity, he's not doing this.
He is a funny guy. He did the thing where the guy was running on the field and he did.
He had a cat running on the field. Like,
yeah, that's what it was. It was the cat. It was the cat on the field.
Well, but he's also done a guy getting tackled. Like like a thing that ran on the field. But like, I mean, like a super important charity, like maybe like the corona vaccine. Like, could we get Kevin Harlan to do this? Because like,
what's the scenario though, Harrison, where we're like $150,000 short of being able to fund the coronavirus vaccine, and the only thing that can get us over the top is Kevin Harlan narrating pornography? Well, how does that happen?
That doesn't have to actually be the case. You just have to convince his agent that it's the case. Like, you only need to make that case to one person. You know, like,
well, no, because Kevin Harlan always has the ability to fire that agent. I mean, like
okay,
the agent works for Kevin Harlan, not the other way around.
True, two people. Well, you got to get his agent, and then both of you got to sell him that this is the only thing like that, like between us and stopping the coronavirus is,
yes,
you know, him calling Pornhub clips.
It's a very, very specific way to solve this pandemic. I always think that like when people say like, okay, somebody puts a gun to your head, you got to choose between. Why is somebody doing that? Like, why is that the scenario where the only thing that saves the planet from being blown up, or like I have to choose, is like me deciding whether I like Godfather 1 or Godfather 2 better? Like that's it. Like that's the only thing saving my life.
That's like one of the old Batman TV show. Like that's one of their villainous plots is like Batman has to like make like a Sophie's Choice or they shoot someone, like, you know, but it's like it's between his two favorite movies or something like that. Like just, you know, only like one of those like TV style psycho villains would ever, I think, actually carry something like that out.
This could actually be fun too. Like, you know, it's one thing, Harrison, for you to appear on a show with us, and I'm going to use this opportunity, by the way, to mention that tonight's show, as all of our shows, are brought to you by vsliquor.com, the easiest and fastest way to get liquor delivered to your door. But what if you were being interviewed by Michael Thompson and Byron Scott? Like, that would be a great night for you, wouldn't it?
I think it would be an interesting night for the viewer for sure. Like I think Michael Thompson and I would be great. I think I've probably made too many Byron Scott jokes at this point for that one.
No, we had Byron. We had Byron
okay.
on the show, and he's very, very forgiving about things like that because I don't think we were unfair, and we talked about this. We were critical, certainly, of Byron during his tenure with the Lakers, and he was, you know, he understands. It's just, everybody's doing their jobs.
These are conversations, though. Like I think the difference between people who do it purely online versus like you, me, Brian, like people that are actually in front of these coaches or players or whoever that sometimes we're critical of, right or wrong. You know, there's going to be times where I know I could look back on certain things I wrote or tweeted about a player or a coach. I'm like, I was dead ass wrong, like embarrassingly wrong. But either way, I feel like
when the Lakers signed LeBron, Andy was like, "Nope, bad move, Lakers."
It was him and Anthony calling him the washed king. Like it was those two.
Yeah, Anthony and I worked very hard to start that hashtag. Like we really worked.
Has we still like forensically documented if literally anybody on planet Earth referred to him as the washed king?
Okay, no, Anthony did not actually call him the washed king, but
was after.
I don't know about washed king, but Anthony did actually say, he tweeted verbatim, "LeBron looks washed, man," after they lost to the Knicks when he got blocked by Hazonia at the buzzer his first season. I don't know if either of you remember that game.
Oh yeah,
yeah. No, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, absolutely, I remember.
Yeah, that game.
Brian and I did post game for all this stuff. We had to talk about it. We had to talk. We had people calling in, freaking out that he got blocked by Hazonia. I remember exactly what you're talking about. It was in New York, correct?
Yes, it was in New York. Anthony tweeted in, freaking out, and says, "LeBron looks washed, man." And so, you know, that is like somebody did actually call him washed. We did forensically examine that, and he is the king. So I think he just put the two and two together. And LeBron
refuse to believe that whole thing started because of Anthony. But
I choose to give him credit for it because that is way funnier to me.
That is no disrespect to Anthony. A wild overstatement of his pull. Although today there was a guy on Reddit who just asked the question of who wins a fight between LeBron and Mike Tyson, and that apparently went viral. Like they were doing segments.
Is that how the thing started with Skip Bayless?
It was on Twitter. He said
Twitter,
I'm taking
whatever.
Yeah, he said I'm taking LeBron, man. He said, "I'm taking LeBron, man. He's just built different." And like this became like an undisputed topic somehow. Like Skip Bayless tweeted this morning. He's like, like the internet's talking about LeBron versus Mike Tyson. I got Tyson, and I'm going to explain why. It's like, is that necessary to explain why?
Because one was a professional boxer and a heavyweight champ for a while, and the other we're not sure ever boxed. Like. Is that irrational?
I don't think I've ever seen LeBron fight. Like maybe he can fight, but I'm not sure that like I've ever seen him get into a fight.
No, look, LeBron would kick my ass. That's not a question. But would he kick Mike Tyson? And we've seen.
Yeah, those. Mike Tyson's like.
We've seen those videos of him recently. He still looks like he could beat you up.
This person tweeted a picture of Prime Tyson. Like, this was him back when. Back when he was like actually fighting people for money.
So he means
they didn't mean now. It was a.
Oh, I would still take Tyson now.
Yeah, I mean, so would I. No, all due respect to LeBron, but yeah, Tyson looks like he.
I don't even think it requires respect to LeBron. We have no evidence he's ever boxed. True. It's not disrespectful to LeBron to say this former number 1 ranked boxer could beat you in boxing.
That's true.
That's not disrespect.
I guess I wouldn't say all due respect to Mike Tyson, but I think I'd take LeBron over him in one-on-one.
Yeah, right. That's not disrespectful to Tyson. No disrespect to Mike Tyson, but if you put him versus LeBron in a 3-point contest, I'm sorry, I'm taking LeBron.
I got LeBron. He's built different.
Yeah. How far does that? Does that thing go? Like, no disrespect to Cormac McCarthy. I'm taking LeBron in a novel writing contest.
Well,
He's just built different.
Well, yeah, I tweeted a photo of him like taking batting practice and Mike Trout, and I was like, I mean, it would be a great fight, but all due respect to Mike Trout, but I'm taking LeBron. He's built different.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, people forget though, Mike Trout was a bucket. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm sure people watching right now are familiar with Harrison's long-running Twitter callback joke, I guess, to just people forget blank was a bucket. Who was the first bucket guy? And do you remember what inspired you to do this?
I absolutely remember what inspired me to do this, and I remember the first one too. What inspired me to do it was all these brand accounts will tweet like it's like once a week. It's like people forget Jamal Crawford was a bucket. Like he was in the NBA last year. Like nobody has forgotten that Jamal Crawford was a bucket. What they also have not forgotten.
Jamal Crawford. The only thing people remember about Jamal Crawford will be like 30 years from now that he was a bucket. That's it.
Like. No, people also just have not forgotten, like especially NBA GMs, until the Nets this week out of desperation, but like they also forgot that he cannot guard like a stationary traffic cone at this point in his career. With all due respect to Jamal Crawford and Mike Tyson.
Well, he's built differently.
Yeah, exactly. The traffic cone was built different. People forget that. But like they tweeted about these guys that like nobody has forgotten was good at basketball or could score. And so I finally this has been a thing for years. You all you've both seen it. Everybody watching this like show at 10 o'clock at night has seen these tweets from like these branded accounts. And like finally it was during quarantine and it was as The Last Dance was going on. And somebody tweeted like young Michael Jordan was different or something like that. And I just said, like, people forget Michael Jordan was a bucket. And
so it's probably going on during like Last Dance.
Yeah, it was during Last Dance. And so I've just kept it going and pretty much tweeted it like once a day about someone that like no one has forgotten was a bucket. But it amuses me. People seem to get a kick out of it.
Oh, it's funny. It's very
sometimes people take
funny.
People take it earnestly sometimes. Like sometimes they will go viral or I'll have people in my mentions like, yeah, people need to put some respect on the 2001 Lakers name. Like, no, everybody remembers the 2001 Lakers were good. But I mean, what it has taught me more than anything is that, number one, people do forget people are buckets. And number two, like it works as a social media strategy, even if I'm doing it as parody.
Well, it's an excellent social media strategy, but the disrespect thing is actually one of my favorite lines of any champion. The 2001 Lakers, I'm sure there are interviews after that season was over where they said, nobody thought we could do this. The 2000 Lakers, everybody bet against us. Nobody thought the 2000 Lakers could win a championship.
Yeah, like the 2002 Lakers probably dropped that in like in the locker room after the game. They're like, nobody believed we could do this. It's like, you just swept the Nets. Like everybody believed you could do this.
Literally everyone thought that you could do this. Like all the people. So yeah, I mean, like, but the Jordan thing is funny too because you do forget, I forgot Michael Jordan played college basketball long enough that he played without a 3-point line. It was a while ago, like young drafted Jordan. It is easy to forget certain things about like how good and like what second year Michael Jordan looked like. But nobody forgot he was, he was averaging
that's
33
the thing. It's
points a game.
Yeah, people forget things. They do not forget that Michael Jordan was a bucket. You know, like that's probably, I think, the thing that he will be most remembered for beyond all else. Maybe the Jordan brand shoe, like when it's all said and done. Like, you know, and like my favorite ones are when I do it about a guy who's like either injured right now or like people take it as a slight. Like I did it about Kevin Durant. Like people forget Kevin Durant was a bucket because he hasn't played in like, you know, like a year or something. And like people were mad. They're like, is a bucket. Like, stop disrespecting KD. He's going to come back better than ever. And it's like, you know, they're just the people that amuse me most are the ones who just don't get that it's a bit.
A lot of these people, Andy, remind me of like, they were like Grateful Dead fans, or, you know, like after the band broke up and they had no one to follow, or like die-hard Kobe fans after Kobe retired. Like you just, like, you have nowhere to channel that energy and anger and devotion. And, you know, like, so, you know, you get a lot of that on the internet. Question for you guys. Do you want to talk about JaVale's manscaping commercial now to make sure we have time, or do you want to talk about the Lakers making it to Orlando and Lakers stuff?
I'm ready to talk about my new beat, which is the Lakers making Manscaped commercials. You know, like I think like that. Are you like you could?
I've been all over that.
Yeah, you could have anyone like, you know, come on and talk Lakers. Like I am the only credentialed media reporter that has been like voraciously covering these Manscaped ads.
People forget Danny Green was a lawnmower.
I forgot. We should have. Alex Caruso had, and we'll tweet it out, has a spectacular homemade Manscaped.
Well, I want to get into that one too, but we will begin with JaVale's, because like all things JaVale is the best.
All right, so hold on.
JaVale is a damn treasure.
Let's see if we can get this.
For people who are unfamiliar,
Andy,
here we go.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. You caught me trimming my outdoor hedges, not my indoor hedges. That's what this is for. The Lawnmower 3.0 by Manscaped. It's not only for cleaning your indoor hedges, you also can trim anything else, but that's your business. Go ahead and check out manscaped.com or swipe up on my story to see more. Back to what I was doing.
Shout out to Japan. So, all right, now I got to bring us back.
That is spectacular. First, the beginning with JaVale trimming the hedges, then
with a pair of scissors.
And then turning around. Oh, hey, I didn't see that. It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent of it, you know, in The Room, and then, you know, parodying the Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark. Like, I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
JaVale. Oh, I didn't see you.
Let's play it again. I love this so much.
Please.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. You caught me trimming my outdoor hedges, not my indoor hedges. That's what this is for. The Lawnmower 3.0 by Manscaped. It's not only for cleaning your indoor hedges, you also can trim anything else, but that's your business. Go ahead and check out manscaped.com or swipe up on my story to see more. Back to what I was doing.
I can't decide if the funniest part of this is the scissors that he's trimming his outdoor hedges with, or the fact that he says indoor hedges repeatedly, but then says trim whatever else you want too. Like, what else is like more private than what he is implying that you would be trimming with this thing?
I love that this has become a thing that athletes endorse, because Danny Green did one too.
Danny Greens were incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately amazing.
Danny Green left no ambiguity with what you're going to be doing with the lawnmower. And, you know, like...
He had candles going. He was in the bathroom. Like, he started it up at the end of the video. Like, yeah.
What's great about it is Danny Green is pretty much just straight up, look, you may be shaving your nuts with these, and that's cool. You know, hey, whatever. You know, that's people like that. You want to make them look good, great, whatever. JaVale's like coy about it, like, you know, your indoor hedges versus your outdoor hedges. Hey, you know, whatever you want to do. Then you get to Caruso's. And Caruso, I feel, is actually kind of shaming Danny Green for going downstairs with the lawnmower. Like, he's like, look, you know, it's not just for that. You know, you can use it just, you know, under your chin, whatever. Like, hey, normal people use the lawnmower too. It's not just weirdos like Danny Green.
Yeah,
Or maybe
Alex Caruso tapped into a different market. He's like people who shave their face also need razors, and they may have skewed too far the other way.
Well, it also does get to the basic point of like, do you need specialized trimmers for that sort of thing? I don't know.
Oh, I think you do.
But is it different than like a beard trimmer? I don't know.
I am.
It's a different kind of hair.
Unfortunately,
we're all grown-ups here. We can say that. It's a different kind
of
hair.
No. It's not the hair, if I had to guess, because unfortunately, I have not been asked to promote Manscaped the lawnmower. I would, but because I haven't, I've yet to purchase one, and I don't own one. I'm guessing the sensitivity level in that area might require a specialized razor of sort. Might also, a certain amount of flexibility within the razor, that sort of thing. I'm guessing it's not something that you want to do with just any razor. Plus the psychology, I think, of knowing that you have a specialized razor.
That's a bigger deal.
Even if, in reality, it makes no difference whatsoever, the psychology is going to make you feel more comfortable using it.
And more safe.
Right. Do you want your upstairs razor to be your downstairs razor? That's basically what you're saying, correct?
Right.
That's the central question of Manscaped's brand, I think. I think we just hit on like what led to them creating their company name and all of that.
And clearly the answer is no. People do not want their upstairs razor to be their downstairs razor, which is why that exists.
Well, and why they have enough money, evidently, to buy 3 Lakers to endorse them. Now,
was Caruso an actual endorsement, or was he just making fun of them? I thought
that's
he
interesting.
Was
I had not considered that.
I just assumed that he was goofing on JaVale or Danny Green more specifically. I didn't think that was an actual endorsement, but it could be.
Oh, I assumed that had to be an ad.
So did I.
Yeah, otherwise, why would you use your platform as an ad? You could get paid for that, I think.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, he just doesn't know any better. He's Alex Caruso.
Yeah, he's not used to having endorsers.
G League Alex Caruso might have made that move. Not legit contract Alex Caruso, the Caruso.
I just feel like I feel like Caruso has a good enough sense of humor that he might have just thought of it and said, hey, whoever the other person who lives in my house is, come film me do this because it's funny and I want to put it out on the internet.
No, I agree with
Harrison. He tagged them and he has a promo code. So yeah, and it says #sponsored, obviously #ad. So yeah, you got a little too woke on this one.
I didn't look that closely. It just
I just pulled up the Instagram post.
The production value of JaVale is so much higher. He's clearly a better home filmmaker than Caruso.
Yeah, I think that's what we learned most of all, I guess. And that, Caruso, I like that they went from Danny Green was like, you're going to shave your balls with this. JaVale was like, who is to say what you're going to shave with this thing? And then Alex Caruso was like, what are balls?
My phone fell down.
I was going to say, you literally made Brian fall out with that. It's true, though. And you would think it'd be the opposite. You would think Danny Green just might be the most tentative as the first Laker to the best of my knowledge.
He's making $15 million this year. How much does he need the endorsement money? I mean, he just really committed to it. You got to respect it.
Well, we've been around Danny.
I don't know how much it is, but you can always use a little more.
It's true.
Danny Green's pretty comfortable with himself.
He's funny too. He's
very funny.
Yeah. He had good timing on those.
Really funny.
Yeah,
okay.
He's good.
Harrison, you've been around this and you understand. This may come off as a little insider or whatever, but can either one of you explain this to me? Danny Green is very funny. He's very easy to understand. You can have a conversation with him. All of this stuff. He is the worst player I've seen in 20 years to transcribe. When you try to actually take audio of Danny Green and transcribe it for quoting, for writing a story, whatever it is impossible. How does that happen where somebody who's very easy to understand when you're talking to him becomes so impossible to transcribe when you have to do your work?
It's funny. I think about this often, and there's one writer that covers the Lakers that I'm not going to name that does exclaim every time that Danny Green transcriptions come up. And
it's me.
It's you. I guess it's a few.
There's many.
Yeah,
there's many.
I think he's so conversational that I think that sometimes he starts a sentence somewhere and then he doesn't quite finish that point and just moves on to the next one.
He's very stream of consciousness.
So that's what I've realized is it makes total sense when I'm listening to it, but then when you type it out, it's like, wow, that makes no sense at all.
Like the Jared Dudley, for example, hasn't all year long, and he's incredible fun to talk to and very insightful and all that. But like he doesn't put 8 words consecutively that mean the same as the 8 words that came before. Like he is truly all over the map with what he's talking about.
He's just very excited.
Right, and he's very fast. It's way easier to transcribe than Danny Green.
No, Jared Dudley reminds me more of when I first started podcasting, where I would have like a list of points that I wanted to make about certain things, and I would like speed through it, rush through it, and then like not even hit all of them because I was so excited to like read off the bullet points basically. And like I think he's just so excited to like get his media time that like he gets pumped.
Yeah, there's something weird about Danny Green's cadence. I think that's just what it comes down to.
It's part of that too.
Because like Brian said, like Jared Dudley actually can be, as all over the map. And, Jared's sentences go on for a while. And, look, I'm not complaining. He's a dream for us. He's a really, really cool guy. But
one of the most candid players I've ever interviewed.
Yeah, he's fantastic. But like for some reason, he's easy to transcribe. And Danny Green is just hard for reasons Brian said. And I have no idea how much the people on the Periscope actually care. The people watching this,
I debate
let us know
these
on the Periscope.
Like, you're a Lakers fan out there watching this show. Do you find we could talk about how the Lakers match up with the Rockets in the Orlando Pandemic Tournament, but we've got another month to get to that. As a Lakers fan, are you more interested in hearing that kind of analysis or about what these guys are like to cover?
I mean, I know that for me, I'm someone who ultimately went to journalism school, so my interests may be a little bit outside of the norm here. But I know for me, when I was just a fan, watching this stuff, I was way more interested in the behind the scenes, whatever, just because it's something that you don't get elsewhere.
Well, let us know what they say on the Periscope, Andy.
I will. I'm keeping an eye on it.
Yeah. Speaking of things of bullet points and things that you don't necessarily want to rush through. VSLiquor.com. Easiest way to get your liquor delivered right to your door. Harrison, have you ever ordered from VSLiquor.com?
I have not, no. I saw VS Liquor and I thought that was versus liquor. It's a score graphic of our battle tonight.
The late night happy hour versus liquor. Liquor always wins. But you're in luck then, Harrison, because you, as a first-time orderer, could put sports in the checkout code and get 15% off. You take that 15%, you apply it to your wedding, boost up the production value of that thing a little bit, make your fiance really happy. So that's where that savings can go.
I could get liquor for everyone, and we could all go versus liquor at the same time at the reception.
Versus. No, VS, not versus. We need to keep these guys happy here.
You know what? Actually,
I'm not paid
here's
here.
Here's how we keep them happy.
Jokes I want.
How much liquor do you need for the wedding? Because you could order all of it right now at vsliquor.com and save 15% on your entire order.
I will say a lot less liquor than we needed before the pandemic when we were going to have 100 plus people there now it's down to probably 10 all spread out. So, we're still going to need some because everybody's got to cope right now.
That's true. So, get a little bit for the quarantine lead up, or I guess the quarantine wind down, and then the rest for the wedding. Perfect.
And
again,
a little bit
involved.
What's that?
A little bit to pregame the wedding,
That's true.
You got to get ready.
You definitely don't want to get married sober. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I didn't say that. Those were your words.
No, I do not get hammered at your own wedding. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's actually advice I've given to a lot of people.
Idea.
It's a horrible idea.
Advice from personal experience, or
no, I did not.
Okay.
I had a couple
I don't drink, so that's actually, in all seriousness, not going to be a problem for me. But I am worried about my fiance.
Wow.
But hey, everybody's going to need she may need a little bit of help getting to come down and marry me.
Do you need us to talk to her? Is this show doubling as an intervention?
Maybe. I think that we can do that. I think we can bring her back for another episode and just have late night happy hour marriage, pre-marriage.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. You can't tell her that's what it is. Because that's the way, like, if you ever watch Intervention, they always show up thinking that it's something different. So you have to let her think that that she's going to come on to talk some Lakers, or we're talking about the podcast you guys do together.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell her that she's coming on to promote the documentary that we're dropping tomorrow on like Anthony's Eurostumble clip, and like and then we'll just ambush her right then.
Absolutely, that's the way.
Does she watch this sort of thing? Like when you do these sorts of things, does she watch like in support? Because you're just engaged. You're still like, oh, like Harrison's on sort of television. I'm going to watch him, and like that,
That was a nice compliment to yourself to call this sort of television. First of all, and
I don't know what else to call it. Harrison's on the internet. Harrison's
to answer your question, no. I think like she gets enough of me, during the day for sure, especially now, like during these times. I think she has maybe listened to like 2 of my podcast appearances ever, and it was because she was interested in the guests that we had on. So yeah, I'm not, she hears enough of my Lakers talk and opinions and whatever already.
Well, plus you guys do a podcast together.
Yeah, exactly.
So she doesn't need to hear more.
Yeah, she gets enough.
There's been plenty.
Yeah, she gets enough of my takes on, our podcast that we host together is Rewind and Reconsider, where we rewatch childhood movies and like see if they hold up sans nostalgia or, just in today's times or what's problematic about them now or whatever. And just like we actually just did The Last Airbender, which is one of the worst movies I've ever watched.
You know what? It's bad, but the series is really good.
The series is awesome, and that's what made the movie
really good.
Even like more disappointing. It was like one of the least faithful. Like it was an adaptation that seemingly hated its source material.
And M. Night Shyamalan, that guy is either really good or really, really bad, and there's no in between. And lately, it's leaned a lot more towards bad.
He's got to be like the best job interview pitch guy of all time at this point, right? Like with how many just like irredeemable movies he's made that he keeps getting millions of dollars thrown at him to make another one.
He's
like
Mike Brown showing up in Jim Buss's office with binders.
Or Mike Brown showing up in Dan Gilbert's office. He got hired there twice, like.
Look, I've heard that Mike Brown is awesome in interviews, and look, we covered him. He's a great guy. He is as prepared for anything as I've ever met any person be. Like, he is astonishingly, he's so prepared that, like, I remember when he got hired, Mike Brown, right before the 2011 lockout.
Yeah.
So there was this period where the Lakers had no access to their players. They didn't have access to anybody other than, like, coaches, coaching staff, whatever. So they brought in a bunch of writers who covered the team. And we got this like sit down lunch with Mike Brown. And
ketchup? What were you just drinking?
No, it was Pellegrino.
Okay. Fancy.
It's green.
It's
green.
Yeah, it's Pellegrino.
Is your color blindness coming through?
I just couldn't.
You thought this was ketchup?
I just couldn't tell.
If anything, I think you'd think it was beer brought to you by VS Liquor, where you use the promo code
you just
sports.
Told me you don't drink.
Yeah, but you could have gotten away with it. I saw the label,
and like the way the angle was, it was dark, and now it looks green to me.
Okay. All right. But anyway, Mike Brown, so he sits down with us and he starts talking about his plans for the year and like the prep work that goes into this. And he takes out 3 huge 3-ring binders, and one of them is labeled offense. The other one is labeled defense. And then the third one is labeled practice. And I was just like, oh, my God.
I was like, what is the third one going to be labeled? I was waiting like job interview preparation
I was like,
or something.
For this veteran team that, remember, they had gone to 3 straight finals. I was like, this is not going to work. Like, I could tell right away. I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. And like, it was one of those things where he was actually too prepared and well thought for his own good.
Do you think Kobe at any point drop kicked one of those binders across the gym? Because I can definitely picture it. Like, if he ever took it out to read from during practice, like, I'm not saying he did do that. I could just see it,
I can suspect he never took it out.
Yeah, I mean, probably not during practice, I guess. Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, I mean, what was ironic about the practice thing is that was a group that had so many veterans with so much mileage. I'm like, how often do they practice? Like, although this was great. Like, this is also speaks to how awesome of a guy Mike Brown was, because he did something, Brian remembers this, that I've never seen a coach do before. So one time after a practice, I don't remember who, but one of us was asking about a specific play that happened in a game and like just about the mechanics of it. And he's like, all right, hang on. He brings a bunch of us over to, do you remember the old practice court, like near one of the far side baskets? And he basically places us all in different areas of the court and starts walking us through this play.
Oh my God.
He's like, here, like, Andy, you go set this screen here. Brian, curl off it. Like he starts walking us through this. And I was like, oh my, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like this is fantastic.
And
yeah,
plus,
that's
too,
like,
people forget that Andy is a bucket.
nobody in that Lakers media scrum that day forgot, you know, they got plenty of reminders when they kept running him off that screen for Mike Brown as he was trying to show what he wanted, Kobe to do in the Princeton offense.
Yeah, I remember too being like, wait, you just got Steve Nash and your plan is to take the ball out of his hands?
Look, he knew Steve Nash wasn't going to stay healthy. He was ahead of the curve on that one.
Was.
Like he was preparing for Steve Nash.
He had forgotten that Steve Nash is a bucket.
Okay, Harrison, you're a person who understands these sorts of things. Andy, you also picked up on the hashtag like promotion material, whatever, from Caruso that I clearly missed. So the other big controversy today was from Rajon Rondo's Instagram feed, I believe it was, where he had a picture of a hotel room and said it looked like a Motel 6, and everybody assumed that that was the picture from the Lakers hotel, and it looked like a really nice hotel room for normal people. My question is, that seemed to post before the Lakers actually landed in Orlando.
I'm assuming it was a photo that someone else sent him or that he pulled up from like a website of the Disney. Like that was my assumption. He posted it right around the same time as Kuzma posted his like sushi troll Instagram like post, like that they, as in like to imply that the Lakers were getting nice food even though they weren't in the bubble yet. And like I'm wondering if they were all just trolling all of us, like, and just seeing what people were going to react to, and if he was just doing that to, like, because we've seen Rondo has a very, very dry sense of humor. And like, I honestly think like part of me believes that he was messing around. Yeah.
Well, here's one of the things I was wondering with that post, because it said, Motel 6 and then Hun, Hun. What did he mean? Like a Motel 600? Like basically this is like an upgraded Motel 6. In other words, like this is a good room.
Interesting.
Like it's a 600 versus a 6, or you could interpret it, was he keeping it 100? Like, it's kind of like a Motel 6.
I thought that it was a typo and he meant to say, like, and he just hit the wrong key. And just because N's and H's look similar enough, he just put, he didn't proofread it and just posted it. But
they're near each other on the keyboard, too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities for
These
this.
are three viable theories. There's no question.
Yeah.
I just assumed it meant like, real talk here. This hotel room sucks. And if that hotel room sucks, so that's, first of all, it's like, I think that's the nicest one. They did it by seating, and so the teams with the best records got to stay at the nicest hotels at Disney World. It tells you what kind of hotels these guys are used to staying in.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like the nicest hotel room I maybe would have ever have stayed in my life, other than, I guess. Yeah, we've rented like condos or like, Airbnb type stuff. That was pretty nice before. But like, as far as like strictly like just a hotel room, like
I have been in hotel rooms that look nicer than that one, that are sort of a little more modern or a little more well appointed or whatever.
It was a little small, I guess.
I haven't paid for most of them, but I've been inside of them. And so like, I think it was either me or my wife had some sort of junket or whatever that we were in that we did at the Bellagio where they got like a legit suite. Like, that was pretty cool. So, there are rooms. I've stayed in a Ritz-Carlton before. Again, didn't pay for it, but I stayed there. And so, like, I've been in... But that's a nice hotel room, objectively speaking. Like, if that's actually Rajon Rondo saying that hotel room sucks, that is a step above people taking photos of their pandemic airline meals that they're eating down there during quarantine when they're not allowed to leave their rooms. And the food will get better. That's the part about, like, everybody's going to have their chefs and this and that and whatever once they're allowed out of their rooms. But for the time being, they have to eat the little airline foods with the pita chips.
And honestly, like, I mean, we're all sports writers, so like we probably have a lower bar for this than most, and are maybe not the best people to discuss it. I don't know. I guess I don't know how much of foodies either of you are, but like,
I consider myself, if nothing else, a foodie wannabe.
Okay,
and I like to cook a lot. You know,
I don't have the time or the money to really be a genuine foodie because you got to eat out more and take more time. But I would if I could.
I'm a foodie at heart, at the very least.
I'm an
Okay, I'm
aspirational
not.
foodie.
Like that food, most of that food looked fine to me. Like it didn't look great. It didn't look like it'd be like, you know, one of my favorite meals I ever had, but it looked totally.
Now, am I remembering this correct though, Harrison? Are you a vegetarian?
I am a vegetarian.
Okay, see, here's the thing though. I think a lot of presentation for vegetarian food, I think is less fancy to some degree. Like it's less of sort of a pomp and circumstance with, I think, most vegetarian food than when you start adding in the meats and, you know, the plating and all that different stuff.
Okay, back up though for a second though. You don't drink and you're a vegetarian. What are your vices?
I don't know if I'm ready to like end my career and get into that on the air, you know? Like
Do you just have like a staggering meth problem? Like what?
Yeah,
what is
that's actually the main one. I'm developing I'm writing an autobiography on my life called Breaking Blog, and it's just about like my time in the meth game as like, you know, under like I blog as like, but that's just a front. Like the only reason somebody can write as much as they are as I do is just rampant meth use. You know,
say my name, Harrison Faigen. You're goddamn right.
You got the hat.
That's where the fedora comes in.
That's where the fedora comes in. Now, okay, so let's do this because Harrison and I had a discussion before, and like that actually is and I didn't realize it when looking. That is the Lakers hat, and we'll go Harrison on full screen here to get a better view.
Yeah, this is the Lakers.
That was a giveaway
right here.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The legendary one that everybody roasted them for. And you know, I took one of these home and it's incredible. It's like I started wearing it as a joke. Like when I podcast, I just called it my podcast fedora. And then now it's like, I feel like, you know, I feel like I can't podcast without it.
You're like, what's her name? And her lucky, what is it? A lucky hat in Goodfellas?
Oh yeah.
She won't fly to Pittsburgh.
Lois.
Without her lucky hat. Lois. That's right.
Yeah. It's my performance enhancing fedora.
Now I didn't keep mine because it was too small and I have a gigantic head. But my friend Mark, when I visited him a couple years ago, gave me this hat. And I thought it looked kind of ridiculous on me. It's a tiny bit too small. But I see, like, I have to wear hats. I have no hair. So if I go out of the house in the daytime, I need to wear a hat. I have never worn a hat anything kind of like this because I always feel like if I'm wearing a hat like this, I am clearly trying too hard. What is the verdict on this hat?
I think with that hat, you're not trying hard enough.
This is a very expensive hat. This is a $200 hat.
I think I think the social context for that hat is like some kind of like boat outing where you're wearing like board shorts of some kind, you know, like a floral type shirt.
Linen pants. I think this is
okay, that works too. Hat. Yeah. Like that's an upscale hat. That's not like a t-shirt hat, I think.
I think the brim is way too wide. Like I actually think you might do better with a larger version of Harrison's fedora. I think that's just too much brim for you.
Too much brim.
It is. It's
a lot. The whole thing is a lot. It's like it's made out of like
cowboy hat, and you, sir, are not a cowboy hat guy.
Oh God, no. At all. I once tried to wear cowboy boots, and I didn't like that experience either.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Like Harrison, you're pulling off the fedora. I mean, like
whether you look like a guy who wears a fedora,
right? Like people.
I don't know if that's really a compliment.
No, it means the hat looks fine. Yeah,
I've got a good friend who, I mean, he's wearing it because he lost his hair and he's always wearing a hat. But one of his go-to hats is a fedora, and he pulls it off.
Look, I'm at that point. I'm losing my hair. You know, we've talked about this while waiting to go into the locker room before. You know, it's almost time for me to shave it all off. I cut it down significantly during quarantine. But
I bet you can use a lawnmower.
Yeah, you know, manscaped for your head. That'll be like the next one. It's like
you are a Caruso at this point. You can use it for your upstairs hedges and your downstairs hedges if
just
you're
the
willing
upstairs
to mix
one.
them.
Caruso doesn't even know what those second ones are. You know, like that was the premise of his ad.
Or he's just, lets it go.
I do.
Alex Caruso's business on the top and party on the bottom.
Oh, God.
It is so great, though. I mean, for real, that Alex Caruso is doing Manscaped ads. Like, this is a guy that 2 years ago was trying to just cobble together some type of NBA. Like, he was hoping to be like a guy who would regularly get some 10-day deals, or, like maybe he'd pull together 2 league minimum deals over the course of bouncing around the league for 6 years before he eventually went to Europe.
Oh well.
No, I mean, I'm honestly disappointed at the lack of Caruso branding that we've been given since he got an NBA deal, and with his internet popularity. It must just be that he doesn't want to take it mostly and wants to mostly focus on basketball. And, maybe that would not surprise me if that was his stance. But I remember Robert Sacre used to have suit commercials on local television.
Yes, that's true.
Like, if he could get a suit commercial, Alex Caruso should be getting like a Men's Warehouse, like local signature deal or something with a promo code during Spectrum games.
Didn't Sacre have those too? I think he did a Men's Warehouse commercial.
Yeah, it was some suit store. I don't remember which one.
I think it was that one. No, it wasn't Men's Warehouse. They're a national. It was one of the local suits. You're like 3-day suit broker or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. But I just remember seeing those Sacre commercials over and over. And look, if he can get it as the token bench dancer, Caruso should be able to get these ads. That's all I'm saying. I'm willing to service his agent for a small fee and see if I can hook up some of these for him.
Caruso is a legit NBA player now. I mean, I wrote about this over the course of the year for The Athletic, just the idea that Caruso's gone from, being a guy that was, was almost adorable that, he'd get these G League call-ups and, he'd play with the big boys on the Lakers, the adult team. And then he became, this fun surprise last year when, the whole thing had, fallen to crap and, half the team was injured. And he basically was this guy on the court that LeBron loved to play with. That was this huge surprise to, being the meme and, the ironic balding white guy jokes to, at this point, he's just a player. He's actually a basketball story. He's not even a feel-good story anymore. He's a legit basketball story now.
That's kind of the sad thing about the NBA Twitter, internet outrage over why, and look, on some level, I get it. I mean, if he was not a Laker and he was not balding, and didn't dunk a lot, Bleacher Report would not be tweeting about him once a day or something like that. But, aside from that, he is a genuinely helpful player. Although, I know he gets a little more hype than he should, but I think some of that, especially from Lakers fans, I will maintain, is because Lakers fans are excited to see this guy break through after kind of seeing him do it in spurts, even starting during his first summer league when he subbed in for Lonzo, against De'Aaron Fox. And I think people are just excited that he's made it too. And he's fun to watch.
He's from a homegrown standpoint, Kuz is a guy they drafted and is homegrown and all that stuff, but has also been kind of disappointing this year. I realize people are still sort of waiting for that to happen or whatever, but you go through Kuz has not been great. He's adapted.
Yeah.
You can come up with all the excuses that you want, but he just hasn't been that great. Whereas Caruso, not only he's homegrown from a seedling, way under the soil, the thing that you didn't even expect to sprout. And now he is. You can make an argument, especially with Avery Bradley out. I don't know if this is hot takery or not, that Alex Caruso is more likely to play a winning or losing role for the Lakers in the playoffs than Kuzma is.
He's quite likely to play more fourth quarter minutes than Kuzma.
Right. Which matters
the last
more?
6 minutes of a game.
Caruso sucks in the playoffs. Kuzma sucks in the playoffs. Which matters more?
I think for the first 3 quarters of a game, I think it's Kuzma. I think for the last quarter, it's Caruso.
But it's not a crazy question.
No, I don't think it is. And also the Lakers are more suited now to deal with bad stretches from Kuzma, between Dudley and Morris and just AD continuing to play the 4. They're okay. They can survive bad stretches from Kuzma. At the same time, I think he is the guy that if he finally does put it all together in Orlando, and that's a big if, But if he does, then he's the one that could end up being like a huge X factor for them, just because like I think with all the other guards, like who knows if Caruso is going to continue to play as big of a role. Like I made a joke on Twitter today that like JR and Dion are going to start taking all of his minutes and stuff like as soon as they get down to Orlando. But like, I think he's like, you could make an argument that he's been like their fourth best player this year. Like, I don't know, like that might be too far. But like he's been, he's certainly behind LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Who's been their third best player?
It's either Dwight or KCP, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Probably Dwight, honestly,
Probably
for
Dwight.
like for the entirety of the year.
But it's almost
Maybe.
it's almost like a 6-way tie between like, well, that would be 6 players.
Did you double check that math there?
Hold on, let me get my pen. Yes, I don't want to name him, but like KCP, JaVale's been great. He just has a smaller role. Dwight has been really good. Avery Bradley injured and then had a stretch where he actually wasn't very good.
I think you're probably right, Harrison. It's probably KCP or Dwight. Just when you start factoring in like minutes and like how often, like, I mean, one of the things about KCP that's been pretty amazing is that guy is an energizer bunny. Like you can just put him on the court and not take him off. Like as soon as he's playing,
darn it.
He
having trouble with my rig.
He doesn't get tired.
Yeah, no, I mean he's in incredible shape, and like I'm curious to see how much he's able to continue that once they get to Orlando, because like how much of that is playing in pickup games constantly, or like playing in games during the season and stuff like that. But he's a guy that I think he's been in good shape the whole time he's been here, and just like a pretty astounding just like athlete from a conditioning perspective.
Yeah, I mean, brutal start notwithstanding, he's been pretty good this year.
And
that was only a brutal start offensively. Like he was, he got destroyed by Kawhi Leonard on opening night, but everyone does. Like that was not his fault.
What the hell was he doing guarding Kawhi Leonard?
Well, LeBron, they weren't ready to go.
I mean,
LeBron
I know what it would be like. Like the idea, like KCP got torched, but of course,
well, that's exactly
torched.
what I mean. Like he was really good defensively for the entire opening of the season, and then finally, like his shooting started to come around, and then like people started to notice. But I remember defending him 5-6 games in, whatever. People were, they were fed up. He was the guy that people were ready to give up on because Kuz wasn't playing, and KCP had been there the longest. He wasn't the shiny new toy anymore.
Right.
So if the team, to whatever degree the team was struggling at points,
it's either him or Kuzma. I'd have to look at the exacts and when they were signed. One of the two of them is the longest tenured Laker.
I believe it's Kuzma.
I think
he was drafted just before they signed KCP.
Right. That's crazy, though.
From Heaven press conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Kuzma, KCP's been legit good this year, and Dwight. I mean, obviously, it's been well documented. Dwight's been really good. So I guess you're right, Harrison. One of the two, that's your third best player.
All right.
Yeah,
so
and like Caruso's probably somewhere around maybe fifth. Maybe fourth was too high. Like maybe
I'm
fifth,
not sure
sixth.
though. I'm not sure. Just only because he hasn't. Maybe the minutes that you say other guys have played more or this or that. But he's been. But it's a question that says a lot about Kuzma. It says a lot about the Lakers roster, and it says a lot about how dependent they are on LeBron. It took about 48 minutes for us to get into some Lakers, like legitimate. Like that's an interesting Lakers discussion. We want to knock that off because we got to make sure we save time for giraffe trivia. That's right, because Harrison, you are a sort of a kind of a meme at this point regarding giraffes. You want to explain how that happened while I get this set up? I like the one where you're looking right at the camera.
I was doing shows not unlike this one on Silver Screen and Roll's Facebook Live back when Facebook was lying to every media outlet and saying that was like a really valuable thing to do, and like pumping up the numbers and whatever. So we were experimenting with it, and I was doing them, but I was doing it solo, and I did not understand angles or anything like that, and so people were making fun of my neck length. Because I had the camera like down on the desk, like below me on the desk. I'm pretty tall, and I was looking down at it, and so yeah, my neck is long. Like, to be clear, regardless, but it looked even longer from that angle. And so like people were like, who's this brontosaurus? Who's this giraffe? And like the giraffe, people started photoshopping me as a giraffe, and then that just kind of stuck. And, honestly, I think it's hilarious. Like it doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
Well, that's good because we would do it even if it did. All right, but it's time now for giraffe trivia with Andy and versus Harrison.
Are you keeping score?
I am keeping score.
Okay, good. All right.
It did seem at the beginning of the show like Harrison let the cat out of the bag in the fact that he's actually done some research and has turned into a bit of a giraffe expert. But here we go anyway. True, false questions.
A little worried.
Giraffe trivia. Giraffes can run up to 35 miles an hour over short distances or cruise at 10 miles an hour over longer ones. Andy, true or false?
That is true.
Harrison?
I believe that is true. Yeah.
That is true. Very good. 1 point for both of you.
They're fast animals.
They are.
Yeah.
So it's among the many reasons I think they're really awesome and fast.
I just look at, you know what you think of when you see a giraffe is just evolution. Like, I like animals where the point of the evolution is really, really obvious.
Yeah,
There's
it's like,
food up there. Like that.
yeah, I need to get it. There's less food down here, you know.
Taller neck, taller
Like,
animal
that's how
gets
I
the
evolved.
food. Like, it's platypus, harder to understand. Giraffe, very straightforward. I like it. Harrison, giraffes stand for nearly everything they do, only sitting to sleep and give birth. True or false?
I'm going to say true.
Andy.
I need you to repeat that. You cut it out for.
I'm sorry. Giraffes stand for nearly everything they do, sitting only to sleep and give birth.
I think that's also true. Yeah.
That is absolutely 100% false. Giraffes sleep standing up and they give birth standing up, meaning the calf, when it is born, falls
That was a
like
dirty
5
trick
feet
question.
to the ground.
Okay, see, I knew that, but that was like the phrasing of the beginning of the question threw me out. But no, I mean, that's fair. I'll take the L on that.
Right. I mean, it's false. They do both of those things standing up.
I thought you meant stand like politically, like they stand for nearly everything. Like, you know,
Yes.
the giraffes will be out there on the front lines. That's what I thought you were getting at.
You want to put them behind because otherwise it's hard to see. Andy, giraffes need only 1 hour of sleep for every 24 hours. Giraffes need only 1 hour of sleep for every 24 hours. They are the
I would think so,
animals.
just because they're standing all the time. So yeah, I'm going to say that's true.
Harrison?
I get tired a lot. I'm going to say false.
Andy is wrong. Harrison is correct, but for the wrong reason. Giraffes, this is remarkable, sleep only 5 to 30 minutes a day.
That sounds like me when I was trying to make it blogging in college.
I don't know, man.
5 minutes. How do you even know? Like, when do you know when the thing went to sleep? 5.
That's
to
a
30
long
minutes
blink.
a day. That is not. That is all the sleep a giraffe needs.
Wait, so how did you phrase that question again?
I said giraffes need only 1 hour of sleep for every 24 hours. True or false?
Okay.
They don't. They need
right.
5 to 30 minutes. 5 minutes a day. Good to go. Long as their necks are, Harrison, a giraffe's neck is still too short to reach the ground, so to drink water, they either have to kneel or spread their legs wide. True or false? Andy?
True.
Trying to think of when I see them drink, does it look like they're bow-legged or straight up? I'm going to say it's true.
That is true. The only exception, of course, is when they have their liquor delivered to them by vsliquor.com. They are able to have it sort of propped up on a tree, and they can drink it that way. 3-2, Harrison.
Well, it's full service by vsliquor.com.
That's right. They'll leave it up in your acacia tree if that's what you're eating that day. Giraffes can go up to 2 weeks without water, Andy. True or false? 2 weeks
False.
without water. Harrison.
I'm going to say false just to make sure that he doesn't get a point on me.
You both get a point there. It is 4-3, Harrison. Giraffes do get most of their water from plants, but they still need to drink every couple of days at the very least. Giraffes, Harrison, consume about 25 pounds of food per day. 25 pounds of food per day.
True.
Harrison. Andy.
True.
I'm going to say that is true.
You are both wrong. It is false. Giraffes eat up to 75 pounds of food a day. In
Okay,
fact,
so
they
now
need-
that's...
No, so,
okay,
I'm sorry.
that's
I rephrased
BS.
that. They need 75 pounds of food per day. Not up to. They must start at 75 pounds of food.
You know,
per day.
I got to give you credit. These are great, like, phrasing for the trick question. Like, this
I
is
was
really
gonna
well
say,
done.
This, I mean, you could have gone like 60 pounds and we would have been wrong, and that's really close.
No,
Like,
but that's partially why I didn't do it. It's like you're supposed to think to yourself, no, giraffes need to eat more than that. They don't eat 25 pounds a day. They need at least 75.
How do you eat 25 pounds of plants? I just don't even understand.
You're the
like
vegetarian.
that sounds
I
like
don't know.
a whole tree to me. Like,
It's a lot of kale.
yeah.
All right, Harrison is up 4-3. We only have a couple questions
They would
left.
completely eat out the entire Orlando trays.
That's why the NBA will not credential me for the bubble. That's why. I think we just found it out.
Like, how many of Troy Daniels' trays would they have eaten just to get through like half a day?
Honestly, there's probably a better chance that he tried to feed the giraffes with that than actually ate it himself. So,
Thanks, Harrison, to their unusual shape, giraffes have a specialized cardiovascular system with an enormous heart, just like Harrison. Over 25 pounds.
true.
Andy.
I don't know. Is it 26 pounds? And I end up losing? I'm going to say true.
That is true. Giraffes have enormous hearts due to their unusual build. Andy, this is the last question.
I kind of spoiled that one at the beginning of the show, so
Yes,
that's
you
my
did.
bad. I
That's
could have
okay.
had an advantage there.
You were so excited. Last
Yeah.
question. Good news for Andy. It is worth 2. You are down
Excellent.
5-4.
Excellent.
Male giraffes test a female's fertility by licking her poop. True or false? They test a female's fertility by licking her poop with their
Not forever.
20-inch long tongues, which is a question that did not make it into the quiz. But giraffes have tongues that are 20 inches long and dark colored because they're out so much because they eat all day. And the sun exposure, they'd get a sunburn otherwise.
Everybody gets down in different ways. I'm going to say that is false.
All right, Harrison?
I know the smart thing would be to guess the same thing as him here, but
Right.
I'm going to say true. I feel like there's no way you would have made that up. That's so weird
but
to make up.
Harrison, there is a way I would have made it up. I'm making it up.
He's a weirdo.
How do you even think of that?
But it was very easy for you to make up. And by the way, Andy, you take a 6-5 lead and you win tonight's giraffe trivia. But Harrison, male giraffes test a female's fertility by sampling their urine. So, which is not much better when you really
Not
think
even
about
how I
it.
feel, right, Harrison? Like,
That's a
They
little
drink-
cheap, to be honest.
They drink their urine. They don't lick their poop.
you know what? I'm going to protest. I'm going to protest your loss with you, Harrison.
No. There is a significant difference between licking poop and tasting urine. That is very
I'm
different.
gonna take your word for it.
No, ask the audience. That is very different. Those are two very different things.
Ask the audience. Put it
Ask
into
the
a
audience.
poll. Put it into a poll.
Yes, make that a
Put
poll.
it to a poll on the
Is it
ESPN
the
LA
same?
account, and let's
Is
just
it
see
the
what they say
same to
tomorrow.
lick poop and drink urine? Are they the same? No, they're not the same. They're very different. Even if you're a giraffe.
Yeah. All right.
I watched the one of these you guys did with Shirtless Ireland and his dog, and so I should have been prepared, but I was not prepared to go here tonight.
Look, I wasn't prepared to go here tonight, Harrison. If it makes you feel any better.
It's not my fault that giraffes drink the urine of their prospective mates.
They are freaky. Giraffes.
You don't get a
Evidently
neck
so.
like that without a couple strange habits, Andy.
I guess so. I mean, look, no judgment, but they're a freaky.
I gotta know,
crew.
how long did it take you to put together this quiz?
Well, I mean, again, with all the other stuff, I mean, it took a second or two. I gotta find a giraffe trivia.
'Cause that was
reputable
well
giraffe
done.
trivia. Thank you. Here's the downside, though. What do you do if you're the giraffe? You taste the urine, and they're not fertile at that. That really's got to feel like a waste.
That's like if you go to the Orlando bubble and you eat the food and you don't win a championship, Like it's
It's like, man,
Yeah.
really went out on a limb there.
that's basically what the Wizards are doing right now. Is like they got no shot at the playoffs, but they're just going down there and they're, just drinking urine.
Harrison Faigen, silver screen roll.
Don't list my employer right after that.
I'm pretty sure they knew.
Yeah, that's probably
you got anything else to promote?
As I mentioned, we do our movie rewatch podcast, Rewind and Reconsider. We have a documentary on. You've probably seen me tweet the clip at this point. I'm probably as known for it as the bucket thing is tweeting Anthony Irwin missing a layup. We call it the Euro Stumble. We are dropping a documentary on that tomorrow morning, and I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't even realize you were doing that, but I'm glad we could help promote that. That's funny.
Tremendous that you're able to talk about all of these things without your lips moving. Tomorrow night, again, thanks to vsliquor.com, best way to have liquor delivered to your door. We got some great guests set up over the next few shows, including tomorrow. We are endeavoring and believe and hope, if all goes well, we will be welcoming Flea to the show.
Very excited about that.
You're following up with Flea?
Flea.
That's just not fair to me, to be honest.
Or some would argue it's not fair to Flea.
That's right.
Yeah. But fingers crossed, we're having Flea on tomorrow night. He's on a bit of a vacation, but he said that he would try to make the time for us. So we're very grateful and very excited for that.
So we'll see what happens.
We got some cool people lined up for next week as well.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night.